Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Ajnantimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshuranmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin Iti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. We are continuing to read from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 5th, Chapter 1, Text 11. Yesterday we saw how Brahmaji came and he was greeted very well as the representative of Lord Shri Krishna by Narada, Swayambhu Manu, as well as by Priyavratha. And now from text 11, Brahmaji begins to speak his message, his heart to Priyavratha. So text 11 to 19 are Brahmaji's instructions to Priyavratha. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Nibodhatate damritam bravimi Masu yitum devam arhasya prameyam. Vayam bhavaste tata esha maharshir Vaham sarve vivashayasya dishtam. Yeah, I will just read the translation directly. Anyone like to read translation?
Lord Brahma, the Supreme Person within this universe, said, My dear Priyavratha, kindly hear attentively what I shall say to you. Do not be jealous of the Supreme Lord, who is beyond our experimental measurements. All of us, including Lord Shiva, your father, and the great sage Maharishi Narada, must carry out the order of the Supreme. We cannot deviate from his order.
Yeah, very important verse, because this is where he speaks to his heart, not just to his head or to the ear. So, like to read purport as well? Would you like to read purport as well? Yeah.
Of the 12 great authorities in devotional service, 4, Lord Brahma himself, his son Narada, Swayambhu Manu, and Lord Shiva were present before Priyavratha. They were accompanied by many other authoritative sages. Brahma first wanted to impress upon Priyavratha that although these great personalities are all authorities, they cannot possibly disobey the orders of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is described in this verse as Deva, which means always glorious. The power, glory, and potencies of the Supreme Personality of Godhead can never be diminished. In the Ishopanishad, the Lord is described as Papavidha, which indicates that he is never affected by anything materially considered sinful. Similarly, Srimad Bhagavatam describes the Supreme Personality of Godhead as being so powerful that nothing we might consider abominable can affect him. An example sometimes given to explain the position of the Supreme Lord is that of the sun, which evaporates urine from the earth but is never affected by contamination. The Supreme Lord can never be accused of doing anything wrong. When Lord Brahma went to induce Priyavratha to accept the responsibility for ruling the universe, he did not go whimsically. He was following the dictations of the Supreme Lord. Indeed, Brahma and other genuine authorities never do anything without his permission. The Supreme Lord is situated in everyone's heart. In the beginning of Srimad Bhagavatam, it is said, Tene Brahma Hira Ya Adi Kavaye. The Lord dictated Vedic knowledge to Brahma through his heart. The more a living entity is purified by devotional service, the more he comes in direct contact with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, as confirmed in Srimad Bhagavad Gita. Desham satata yuktanam patitam te purvakam adami buddhi yogam tam yena mam upayanti te. To those who are constantly devoted and worship me with love, I give the understanding by which they can come to me. Lord Brahma, therefore, had not come to Priyavratha by his own whims. Rather, it is understood that he had been ordered to persuade Priyavratha by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, whose activities cannot be understood by material senses, and who is therefore described herein as a Prameya. Thus, Lord Brahma first advised Priyavratha to hear his words with attention and without envy. Why one is induced to perform certain acts, despite his desire to do something else, is indicated herein. One cannot disobey the orders of the Supreme Lord, even if one is as powerful as Lord Shiva, Lord Brahma, Manu, or the great sage Narada. All these authorities are certainly very powerful, but they do not have the power to disobey the orders of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Since Lord Brahma had come to Priyavratha in accordance with the orders of the Supreme Lord, he first wanted to dispel any suspicions that he might be acting as Priyavratha's enemy. Lord Brahma was following the orders of the Supreme Lord, and therefore it would be worthwhile for Priyavratha to accept Lord Brahma's order as the Lord desired.
Yeah, thank you, Prabhu. So this purport is very enlightening in the sense that it is clearly showing to Priyavratha that it is more important to hear attentively from the heart than just from the head or the ear. So logically it may not make that much sense to Priyavratha, but Brahma is telling that it is not about whether it makes sense or not. First thing is it is coming from the Lord, so you just can't reject it. So it is said that instead of thinking about the order of Guru and Krishna, whether to do it or not, one should think how to do it. Intelligence can be utilized in either way, whether I should do this or not, or how to do it. So Brahmaji is telling, think about how to do it. Don't use your intelligence in whether to do it or not. So very meaningful thing actually. This we can see innumerable examples in the Shastras where the person either did not want to do that, it was not his priority, yet when it comes from Guru and Krishna, one should understand that I should do this. For example, Kardama Muni in 3rd canto, like from chapter number 23rd to 31st, that is a section of Lord Kapila Dev. So when Lord Kapila Dev is himself there in his home, the very personality of Godhead whom he is worshipping, he walks out, he takes Vanaprastha and he just retires from family life, and then he leaves his wife Devahuti along with the son Kapila Dev, and then he walks. So Prabhupada is raising the question there, why would he walk out while the Supreme Personality of Godhead has himself appeared in his home as his very son? Why should he walk out? There Prabhupada writes that more important than taking darshan of the Lord is to serve the will of the Lord. So it was Lord's will that he sets an example that one should be dutiful and do the right thing at the right time. So Lord wanted him to show that example, and then Lord wanted Devahuti, Mother Devahuti, to show the example that material life, even with a husband like Kardamuni, was frustrating, and now she's becoming a disciple of her own son. She's playing that role. So we see in many examples, even in Lord Chaitanya's life, like I can think of 3-4 examples immediately. One example is Lord Nityananda wanted to just travel along with Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wherever he went, like to Jagannath Puri and to South India. But Mahaprabhu said, no, I want you to preach in Bengal area, and you are a grihastha, you can go to any place, like I as a sannyasi cannot go to every place. So you please follow my will rather than just coming with me and enjoying. Another place we find Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu when he was leaving from Jagannath Puri. So in the first time when he was there in Jagannath Puri, then he left, then again returned back. So Gadadhar Pandit also tags along. He says, I'll also come. Mahaprabhu says, how can you come? You took Kshetra Sannyas. If you took Kshetra Sannyas means the vow to remain within a temple or within a holy place, particular geographical area, and then continue one's devotional service till one's death. So he says to Gadadhar Pandit, how can you come with me? Gadadhar Pandit says, to hell with Kshetra Sannyas, to hell with Varnashrama, to hell with this world. I will be with you wherever you are. Mahaprabhu said, but you took a vow to stay in Jagannath Puri. He said, wherever you are, that is Jagannath Puri, because you are original Jagannath. Mahaprabhu was very particular. Mahaprabhu said, no, you can't say all these things. You took Kshetra Sannyas and you will spoil my name if you do these kind of things. Now you need to stay back here and render your service. I will be more happy if you render your service to Tota Gopinath while staying in Jagannath Puri. So yes, as the Supreme Lord, Lord Chaitanya reciprocated with Gadadhar Pandit by even the deity sat down. Like Tota means one who sat down. So because Gadadhar Pandit got old and all, so that he can easily serve the deity. But as far as the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in the role of a guru or a Vaishnava Acharya is concerned, he clearly taught the principle. It may be difficult for you, but you need to do what is pleasing to Krishna, then what is pleasing to yourself, even though it may be apparently spiritual. Then we see Loknath Goswami. So Loknath Goswami was trying to meet Lord Chaitanya by going to the places where Lord Chaitanya was visiting, like it was in South India, many places, in Maharashtra, in Bengal, in the northern India, in Prayagraj and in Vrindavan. But the problem was, wherever he went, he would just get there and then he would get the news like, oh, Lord Chaitanya was here, he just left like 5 days back. Oh, Mahaprabhu just left like 4 days back. Oh, he was just here. Oh, you're reaching now? And so he would just like cry there, for his misfortune. And again, he would have some letters with Mahaprabhu, and then he would get the message. Or sometimes Mahaprabhu would just speak to him, like in his heart through a vision, that I want you to stay here now in Vrindavan and render your devotional service. I don't want you to unnecessarily like try to come where I am. And so eventually he never met Mahaprabhu. He remained there in Vrindavan. So he followed the will of the Lord. Similarly, we find Sanatan Goswami, who was there with Haridas Thakur and Siddha Bakul in Jagannath Puri, and he was relishing the association of Mahaprabhu and his associates. So Mahaprabhu taught through his example. For 18 years, he was continuously in Jagannath Puri, from age 30 to age 48, like last 18 years. And he showed that example how one should be absorbed in Krishna. That was the biggest preaching, that one is relishing Krishna consciousness. So that time Sanatan Goswami wanted to stay there forever, but Mahaprabhu actually, he did the same thing with Rupa and Sanatan. He actually got them the blessings of other Vaishnavas. There is an entire chapter, I believe it is the 3rd chapter, one of the first 3 chapters in Ante Leela, where like in a major section of that chapter, Mahaprabhu is requesting all his associates, Ramananda Raya, Swarup Damodar Goswami and Haridas Thakur and other associates, that please bless Rupa Goswami. I have ordered him and Sanatan to carry out these 4 instructions of mine in Vrindavan. They'll erect the temples and establish deity worship with proper standards for all the ages to come. Second, they will relocate and rediscover the holy places and bring them back to life. Third, they will write several scriptures based on the original Vedic scriptures, in such a way that the common man in the upcoming Kali Yuga can actually understand, and that's how we have got all these books. And fourth, by their own conduct, they will establish an exemplary Vaishnava behavior. So Mahaprabhu himself was sending devotees away from him for the sake of service, that this will be pleasing to Krishna. when Sanatana Goswami wanted to commit suicide, Mahaprabhu said, you already offered your body to me, how can you commit suicide? Which means your body belongs to me, it's my property. Like in America they say, get off my property. So he said, this is my property, like your body. You already offered it to me at the time of initiation. So if it is my property, I'll decide whether it should be destroyed or not. How can you decide? And I already have a lot of plans which I want to fulfill through your body, which is my property. So it was a lot of affection which he showed to Sanatana Goswami. But he gave them like that, okay, it's not about being near me. We find similarly he instructed, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu instructed Raghunath Das Goswami as well, who wanted to get direct instructions from Mahaprabhu. Mahaprabhu said, I already handed you over to Sarup Damodar Goswami. You should take instructions from him. It is not that just because I may directly instruct you, that will be better. But still he gave some instructions, okay, because you have come to me. We find Krishna also speaks to the wives of Brahmanas, Yajnik Brahmanas in 10th canto 23rd chapter. That is 33rd verse, 10, 23, 33. He says that it is not by proximity with me that one begins to love me. He says it is by worshipping me and serving me with love, whether while being with me or whether while being away from me. He says in fact that if you be in your home, do your duties, but always think of me and worship me with love, worship my deity, chant my holy names, you will actually attain love for me rather than just being very close physically with me. So there are innumerable examples like that, even in Sri Sampradaya, like Ramanujacharya sending his devotees to various places for the service to the Lord. The famous example of he sent this Anantacharya to Tirupati. In those days, Tirupati was just a thick forest, and there was nobody to serve the Lord of Venkatachala, the Lord Srinivas Balaji. So he says that please go and cultivate a tulasi and a flower garden if someone can go. So one of his disciples, Anantacharya, he said that with your blessings, if you feel so, then myself and my good wife can. So Ramanujacharya had tears in his eyes, and he said that he embraced him. He said that you will go back to Godhead for this service. You will become very dear to Krishna, something like that he said. And so goes the story ahead, that how he became very dear to Ramanujacharya. So we heard Prabhupada also would be very lovingly remembering those devotees who are serving elsewhere. I read in one book, Prabhupada's flight got delayed, and in the waiting lounge, like there were several disciples, and some were just looking at Prabhupada. Some were saying, Hari Bol or Jai Prabhupada. Prabhupada said, what are you doing? Better than this, just go, because some devotees were distributing books in the airport. So Prabhupada said, what will this Hari Bols and Jai Prabhupada will do? Better you go and distribute some books. Better do something. which showed actually Prabhupada's heart, that it's not just by sitting near him or just crying tears that one will be able to please him. So everywhere in the Shastra there are examples like that, which show that the essence of bhakti is to please Krishna. Not just, there is one famous traditional story in Vrindavan, like it's in Hindi, but the essence of that story is that one king was troubled by one mosquito who was like again and again coming onto his body. So the king says that, like those who are near and dear ones, they only trouble. But those who are really wanting to love and serve, so they may not be so close always, like mosquito. So like that. So it is also given how that Brahma also did not induce Priyavratha to accept the responsibility of ruling the universe whimsically. He himself was also following the dictations of the Lord. So that's parampara. There's one Prabhupada disciple, I think Atmaram Prabhu his name. So how he came to Krishna consciousness, he was in Mumbai and one devotee caught him, and Prabhupada was there that time in Juhu temple. So he just brought him to the temple and like he was preaching to him, telling him about the philosophy. And then next morning he attended the morning program and there was the time for Guru Puja and Prabhupada was sitting live and devotees were going and offering the arati and the pushpa, the flowers, and like bowing down. So he was like, he really didn't want to do it. He said, what is this, this person, like he's also just another man. Why should I do this to him? He's not God. He said, yeah, he's not God, but he's very dear to God. So we should, so although a person in the, coming from the Indian background should be able to accept those things, but he was very, no, this is too much. So he said, okay, I'll walk with you in the queue offering the flower, but I'll not offer obeisances and flowers. Why should I do this? He's also a mortal man. So then when they got closer to Prabhupada in the queue, so he noticed that Prabhupada is also chanting, like mumbling the prayers, like the Guru Puja. Shri Guru Karuna Sindhu. So then he asked this devotee, like who brought him, what is he speaking? What is he chanting? He said, he is also offering the same prayer, the same arati. He said, but we are offering to him, what is he doing? He is also offering the same to his Guru Maharaj. And his Guru Maharaj must also be offering to his Guru Maharaj. And like that it is for Krishna. He said, oh, so he is also a servant of someone? He said, yeah, we are all servants of Krishna ultimately through the medium of his servants. Then he immediately picked up the flower. Said, I love so. And so later on he became His Grace Atmaram. So it shows like that one is, like Brahma here is not coming on his own, by his own whims. So therefore when we, devotee should be humble and moldable, not stubborn and brittle. Like, so here Prabhupada is explaining this point that even 4 personalities out of the 12 Mahajans, even they are willing to be humble in front of Lord's desire. So who are you and me? So even if, like even Prabhupada was a servant, even these like great Mahajans, they are also being subordinate in front of the Lord's will. So Brahma is telling to Priyavratha that you also please don't envy the Supreme Lord's order. Don't try to oppose it, try to lovingly surrender unto it. So devotional service has to be done in a favorable way, which means I should not be humbled. I should be myself agreeing to be humble. So sometimes we are just humbled, like the laws of the world may humble us, like there is no other option now. Okay. But while there is option, like Krishna wants us to use our free will to lovingly choose to serve him. Make his will as our will. Even Lord Jesus, I believe he said this, like when he was about to be caught the next day. So he said, my dear Lord, let thy will be, something like, let your will be my will.
Not my will, but thy will.
Okay, not my will, but thy will. Yeah. Which means like, I don't want to be caught and go this way, but then if you want me to be crucified and caught by these people, then fine. If that is your plan, I would like to do that. Although I'm not wanting to, that was not my plan. And then he actually gets caught the next day and then he's crucified. And because of that, Christianity spread like wildfire. So Jesus says that let your will be done, not my will. Prabhuji, you wish to offer any comments? You wish to offer any comments? We will go to the 12th verse. न तस्य कश्चित् तपसा विद्यया वा न योगवीर्येण मनीषया वा नैवार्थधर्मे परतः स्वतो वा कृतं विहन्तुं तनुभृद् vibhuyat.
Vitam vihantum tanugrid vibhuyat.
One cannot avoid the order of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, not by the strength of severe austerities, an exalted Vedic education, or the power of mystic yoga, physical prowess, or intellectual activities. Nor can one use his power of religion, his material opulence, or any other means, either by himself or with the help of others, to defy the orders of the Supreme Lord. That is not possible for any living being, from Brahma down to the ant.
Yeah. So nobody has the power. One may be very, very expert. Like one may be very expert. America is so expert in technology and money and all. Like it is the highest in the entire world. But when Katrina comes or some kind of disaster comes, what can be done? Nobody can defy the order of the Lord. So one may have the tendency to argue or rationalize or whatever, but it actually requires more substance to surrender than to prove one's point. Any Tom, Dick and Harry can just come ahead and try to prove himself, but actually rather than to prove, better to improve. Which means to surrender is the toughest thing. Why? Although it is the sweetest thing when it is done out of love, because surrender requires bowing down of ego. So it is explained that in the other yoga systems, like in all the other paths or even in all the other religions, it's easier to perform because the false ego is not being purified. So it's easier to surrender one's body or one's speech or one's resources or to change one's lifestyle. But to offer one's mind, heart and ego, these are the toughest things. And Krishna is exactly asking for that only. Man mana bhava mad bhakto madhyajimam namaskuru. To offer mind is very difficult. One can even offer one's limbs, one's activities, one's resources, one's time, one's energy, one's talents. But to offer one's mind, like to constantly think of the person, and then to offer one's ego itself, that even if I am not valued, still. So, and Bhakti Yoga is although it is the simplest, yet it is tough. It is not easy. Because if one can easily offer the ego, then it is the easiest thing. But to offer the ego, because Bhakti Yoga purifies directly the false ego, which is the very root of one's existence in the material world, therefore it is the highest process. Because once the false ego is purified, everything else follows. One's intelligence, one's mind, one's activities, everything else just follows. Because who I am, that's the ego. If that is purified, then it's all like Sambandha. When Sambandha Gyan is established, then further things are details. So materialistic people may be very expert in dealing with gadgets and all these technological companies and but personalities like Brahma are experts in surrendering with their heart. So that is the expertise which is needed in bhakti. So Prabhupada also says in the purport later on, like in the last few lines, an intelligent devotee in the line of Lord Brahma and the great sage Narada does not consider this world false. That which is created by the Supreme Personality of Godhead cannot be false, but using it for enjoyment is. So basically he says that Priyavratha should agree to take responsibility in this world, but he doesn't have to enjoy the world. So there is a difference between enjoyment and service. Regardless of one's circumstances, favorable or unfavorable, one should use everything to serve the Supreme Lord. That is a perfect way to use one's intelligence. Okay, text 13. Bhavaya nashaya cha karma kartum Shokaya mohaya sada bhayaya
Shukaya mohaya sada bhayaya
Sukhaya dukkhaya cha deha yogam
Sukhaya dukkaya cha deha yogam
Avyakta dishtam janatanga dhatte.
Avyaktatishtam janatang.
My dear Priyavratha, by the order of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, all living entities accept different types of bodies for birth and death, activity, lamentation, illusion, fear of future dangers, and happiness and distress.
Would like to read the first paragraph.
Purport. Every living entity who has come to this material world has come here for material enjoyment, but according to his own karma, activities, he must accept a certain type of body given to him by the material nature under the order of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. As stated in Bhagavad Gita 3.27, Prakrite Kriyamanani Gunakarmani Sarvashaha. Everything is being done by Prakriti, material nature, under the direction of the Supreme Lord. Modern scientists do not know why there are varieties of bodies in 8.4 million forms. The fact is that all these bodies are ordained for the living entities by the Supreme Personality of Godhead according to the living entities' desires. He gives the living entities freedom to act as they like, but on the other hand, they must accept a body according to the reactions of their activities. Thus, there are different types of bodies. Some living entities have short durations of life, whereas others live for fantastic durations. Every one of them, however, from Brahma down to the ant, acts according to the direction of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is sitting in everyone's heart.
Yeah, thank you. So basically in this verse and the next verse, Brahmaji is explaining to him that anyways you cannot control your own life also. We are all bound by the laws of nature which are governed by the Supreme Lord. So he says that see, you were born a Kshatriya. So you should not unnecessarily refuse following the dictations of the Lord. Now as a Kshatriya we are asking you to serve. And if you do not serve, actually you get reactions. Just like Krishna told Arjuna, you are thinking that you will not fight. If you don't fight for me, for dharma, because it's your nature to fight, you will anyways fight elsewhere. Better you fight on the behalf of the Lord. Then there is no karma. One is not bound. Like if a person joins the army of the country and he is sent to wherever, Vietnam or wherever the country is sending him to fight, and he may kill many people like in the enemy, right? So he will be awarded with a lot of medals and all, a lot of honorable titles, because he killed or acted on behalf of the government. But suppose he does it on his own, like he picks up the gun and the neighbor is maybe making a lot of noise, so he just goes and
Big guy goes and kills him.
yeah, no. So then he will be jailed, right? Because now the act is same, but the problem is that it was not done on behalf of the government. So the government will punish him for the same. Similarly, he is saying, see, anyways we are bound by our actions and reactions. So why to oppose? Why to hesitate in following the order of the Supreme Lord? He says, even if you're asked to do the worst thing, but Lord is asking you to do, that will not bind you. And even if you do the apparently best thing, but on your terms, it will bind you. Beautiful, no? So,
Prabhu tells of there's an insect that's born, it produces, it grows, produces byproducts, and dies all in one day. And you have Lord Brahma living, 311 trillion, 400 billion, 40 billion years. And his whole life, one day, it's called a mayfly.
it's like a flash in the eternity.
Doesn't see a full day.
So the 14th verse is also like in the same line as we discussed, this 13th and 14th, that one should not resist the order of the Lord. One should understand, irrespective of the content of the order, it is the best thing to do, because that will never bind us, rather that will liberate us. You know the famous example in Mahabharata, like Yudhishthira Maharaj disagreed to speak a lie on behalf of the Lord, and then his chariot came down, to indicate that you were being transcendental as long as you followed the order of the Lord. When you are not transcendental, when you don't agree to follow the order of the Lord, and you put morality on top of the Lord, whatever else you put on the top of the Lord, then you have to be bound by the actions and reactions of this world. So we can just read the translation of the 14th.
My dear Priyavratha, according to our association with different modes of material nature, the Supreme Personality of Godhead gives us our specific bodies and the happiness and distress we achieve. One must therefore remain situated as he is and be conducted by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, exactly as a blind man is led by a person who has eyes with which to see.
Okay. Prabhuji, the previous verse actually.
Sorry, I gave that
Yeah.
wrong one.
Oh, my dear boy, all of us are bound by the Vedic injunctions to the divisions of varnashram according to our qualities and work. These divisions are difficult to avoid because they are scientifically arranged. We must therefore carry out our duties of varnashram dharma like bulls obliged to move according to the direction of the driver pulling on ropes knotted to their noses.
Yeah. So see, very, very kind of stern statement, huh? Like bulls obliged to just go by the directions of the person, right? So similarly, he's saying that the varnashram system is very scientific, and if you are asked to play your role in service of the Lord, don't resist it, you know. So Prabhupada explains in the entire purport about this guna karma vibhagasha, like how varna and ashramas are actually organized very scientifically. You know. And Prabhupada also explains that materialistic people, even though they may build big skyscrapers, I think we're going to one today. Biggest skyscraper.
In San Francisco, there's one in Dubai, I think they got the biggest.
Yeah. So, but Prabhupada is condemning. Actually, this exact same thing Shri Chor Gopinath Prabhu was telling me in the morning. These are pakka materialistic people building big. Prabhupada is saying exact same thing.
Oh yeah?
Yeah. According to the direction of modern society, men think that they can advance in civilization by manipulating matter to build skyscrapers, big roads, automobiles, and so on. Such a civilization must certainly be called materialistic, because its people do not know the goal of life.
There's a school in Los Angeles, UC Irvine, very prestigious school. The building was only 10 years old, and they're going to knock it down and build another one.
Hare Krishna.
I mean, it could last another 90 years, but they're going to knock it down. Prabhupada said, knocking down and building again. They're knocking and building. It's just, they have so much money, they don't know what to do with it. Well, let's knock down a building and build another.
Seriously, they could give it to us.
Well, it's on campus.
That's even better.
That would be good. That's a big building. We're filling up with devotees.
So, Prabhupada writes in the last paragraph, if human society is divided scientifically according to Varna and Ashrama, and if the Vedic directions are followed, one's life, regardless of his position, will be successful. It is not that Brahmanas will be elevated to the transcendental platform, but not the Shudras. If the Vedic injunctions are followed, all of them, Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas and Shudras, will be elevated to the transcendental platform, and their lives will be successful. So this is extremely important, as it is spoken in 16th chapter, 23rd verse in the Gita. Yaha shastra vidhim utsrajya vartate kamakarata nasa siddhim avapnoti na sukham na parangatim. Whoever one is, if one does not follow the vidhi or the process given in the shastras, then he will not be achieving perfection in life, and he will not be able to be peaceful also in life. On the other hand, if one follows the natural duties according to Varna Ashrama, according to his social role and position, his natural inclinations, in the service of the Lord, then he will achieve perfection of life. So he's telling, don't, I mean, it's a teamwork, like the Vedic model of society is a teamwork. So if you play your role in the team, then the outcome is very, very beautiful. Just like in the sabji, if every ingredient plays its role, even turmeric or whatever, in the kirtan, every instrument plays its role. Not that Kartal says, today in the kirtan, I would like to be loudest. Yesterday you were the loudest, Mridanga. No, Kartal has a role. It's not like the husband says, first child you bore in your womb, so next child I'll bear in my body. No, it's not like that. Wife has a role to play, the husband has a role to play. So similarly, he's telling that you play your role nicely. The chili doesn't have to be sweet. The chili has to agree to be offered to the Lord. So similarly, he is telling that you are a Kshatriya, you should agree to act like one in the service of the Lord. So I think we should stop here. It's 8:20. And
Prabhu was talking to one lady. She was a big feminist, and she was expressing that. Prabhu said, "Well, you want equality, but it's not possible. Just like you can have a child, but then can a man have a child?
No.
Man can't have a child." Then she went on. And the Prabhupada would stop. No. You can have a child, but can a man have a child? Where's the equality?
Right. Artificially, they want to make it classless society.
Want to be equal.
And thus lose individuality. So, thank you very much. ग्रंथ श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय, श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय, निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे, हरि हरि बोल। कृष्ण नमो नमः। जय श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय, जय जय, हरि बोल, हरि बोल, हरि बोल। Deva Prasanna was also there.
Everyone's Jai.
Okay.